Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of UpGrade with Maria Kay, the podcast where your success, freedom, and happiness get a weekly boost. And what a pleasure it is again today. We have an amazing special guest for you guys. We have Jennifer Howell Gillies, and she is an author, an angelic healer, reader, spiritual counselor, chakra specialist. And you know what? Her motto is healing the world one heart at a time. And now that is so touching to me. Now, because we meet every week and we are here to help each other upgrade what is going on in our lives, raise it higher, expand our consciousness, and really step into a world or create a world that we cannot wait to wake up to every single morning. Now, Jennifer went from struggling single mom to living exactly what I've described, a life by design. And she co-creates this with her husband and co-author, Andrew Gillies. Jennifer, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. I cannot wait to kick off. So, talk to us, Jennifer, about how it was for you way back when you found yourself as a struggling single mom and you were then given the opportunity to shift and upgrade. How was it for you?
When I was in my early 30s, I didn't feel as if there was anything on offer for me. I felt that I had gotten myself into a situation where a really not good marriage and two young kids and working paycheck to paycheck and living in a really not nice situation. I didn't see any hope. I didn't see how my situation could change. And now, looking back, I see that a lot of people may find themselves in that situation where they're surrounded by a life that doesn't look like anything they planned, but they can't see a way out. And it was just a series of the choices that we make that ends up in a situation where you're looking around and saying, how did I get here? And that's when it clicked for me that I was like, wait a minute, if I made the choices to get myself into this situation, certainly I can make some choices to get me out of this situation. And the first one was recognizing that I had standards that I hadn't been living up to, and standards that I'd forgotten. I forgot that I deserved a better life. I forgot that some of the pain that I had been through in my earlier life it wasn't necessarily to punish me. It wasn't to lead me down a path to a life that I didn't like. That maybe I could reframe and change how I thought about things that had happened. And that's where it started. And I started making choices where I said, I deserve better. And so I got out of that marriage and almost immediately, the saying is, when you let go of one person or one situation, that you create a space for someone else or another situation to come in and fill that space. That the universe doesn't like a vacuum or a void. And that's exactly what happened. Someone rushed into my life that introduced me to spirituality. And this was back in the early 2000s when The Secret was coming out. And it had literally just come out on the movie, and my friend introduced me to it. And I said, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? I certainly don't like the situation that I'm living in now. It can't get any worse. So how much better can it get? And I wrote I was like, I know it sounds crazy, but I'll give it a try. And I wrote a letter to the universe. It was in December of 2006. I wrote a letter to the universe detailing what kind of upgrade I wanted in my life, detailing, what my life would look like. And I even put in some crazy things like traveling the world. I'm a single mom with two kids and living paycheck to paycheck in a 2-bedroom apartment. How am I going to travel the world? It didn't matter. The how never mattered. And so I wrote the letter out, and I And my friend said, give it to me and I'll put it on my altar and I'll bless it. And I said, okay, so, all right, whatever. So I gave it to her and forgot about it. I started living my life as the secret puts out, treating myself with, flowers, cheap, inexpensive things that, not cheap, but inexpensive things that made me feel like I was moving towards something better. And it was only a few months later that I met Andrew online, and we were just friends, and I went through a series of situations where I had to unbecome what I had built my life around. I had built my life around struggle and drama, and so in order for something better to come in, I really needed to make sure that I didn't want any more struggle and drama in my life. And so situations came out, and eventually, a few months later, Andrew was on my doorstep, and we've not been apart. We've been together since 2007 now, and during that whole time, we've probably been apart, I would guess, except with the exception of some issues of moving, of getting permission to move to England. We haven't been apart more than a couple of hours a day, which for most people that's hard to believe. How did you go from, struggling single mom to being with, co-creating with an amazing partner who shares my vision? And it's simply by when you know what you want, and you know that you deserve it. And that's the key, is you know that you deserve something better than what you have. And you measure every decision in your life, in your day. Okay, is this taking me towards what I want, or is this a distraction? Is this taking me towards where I see myself going, the life that I love, or is this something that I think that I should just do because everyone else is doing it? It makes life so much easier. It makes life so much easier. That's not to say that you won't face, that I didn't face struggles. I mean, in the book we talk about the numerous struggles that we face, but the struggle becomes a context to the struggle. You understand that all the struggles that come into your life are there to refine who you are and help you clarify to what extent you're willing to go to upgrade your life.
Mm-hmm. I love how you, thank you. That's just an amazing account, and really gives us a clear picture of how quickly it can happen. I mean, I know that I've done that in my life as well, but to hit, another story like that, and I've read the book, and I know that you did encounter struggles. I know that you did make changes because, as you said, you were always asking the question, is this taking me closer or bringing me further away? Jennifer, I know that you, as you say, you kind of found spirituality in the sort of early 2000s and moving forward. And I know that you have developed, or there have been developed on your behalf, many abilities. I know that you work closely with the angels. I know you've written some books and some channeled messages. And I know you help people now using these methods and modalities. I know that you've worked with me on my chakras as well. Could you give our audience some insight as to how that works for those people who maybe are really new to this type of work? And also, we'll start with that and see where that takes us.
Yes, I absolutely adore working with the angels. I consider it such a blessing, and as well as a responsibility. One of the first gifts that I discovered as I was awakening, as they say, was the ability to check people's chakras. And for those that are not familiar with chakras, chakras are your energy centers that are located on your body. If you follow along your spinal cord, going from your bottom to your to the top of your head. There's 7 centers of energy, and each center represents our connection to a certain energy in the world. So, for example, your root chakra, that's really where you hold your fight and flight survival instinct. And the one above that, just below the belly button, that's your sacral chakra, and that's where you hold your more intimate relationships, the ones that are more connected, the ones you feel the deep connections and equally the deep traumas in your life, or you have them in your sacral chakra. Then above your belly button, you have your solar plexus, which is your larger community, your how you feel you fit in with society as a whole. Then your heart chakra, which is your connection with love. And a lot of people think that they get confused with the kind of love that you feel in your heart chakra. The love that we talk about in your heart chakra comes from source, spirit, God, whichever you choose to label it. It's the intake and the exhale, the sharing of that love back and forth. It's not the same as your relationship chakras, which are lower. And then you have the throat chakra, and this is where you feel so you can speak your truth. It's a very important chakra for us to be when we really want change in our life. The throat chakra is one of the most important chakras because the energy there allows us to speak our truth. And so often we need to be able to speak our truth first to ourselves so that we can hear it and say, this is what I want. This is my truth. So I really love connecting with people and seeing the health of their throat chakra, because this will indicate the strength from which they're able to take their first steps towards the life of their dreams. Then, of course, we have third eye, which is in the middle of the forehead, and that's where most people say, you have your psychic or your knowing senses, like a sixth sense would be what most people would relate to, and your crown chakra, which is what I would call, your connection to heaven or spirit realm or whatever, the greater creation is that you see it. And so the gift that I was allowed to see was in being able to check people's chakras and see how open they were and how open they were to receiving and giving from those different chakras, because energy is a two-way street. It has to be two ways. We have to be open to receiving as much as we are giving. And as women, I find this is especially difficult because we see ourselves as nurtured, or we've been conditioned, let me correct that, we've been conditioned to see ourselves as the givers, that it's weak to receive, that, we shouldn't receive, that we just need to give. And so in my work, I make sure that the different chakras are open to receiving as well, because how are we going to receive change in our life? How are we going to receive that abundance? How are we going to receive that new life of our dreams if subconsciously we're not even aware that we're closed to it? If we can't see that, we're pushing it away. So a lot of my chakra work has been in helping people identify the areas in their lives where they might subconsciously be pushing the life of their dream away, and helping them open up to, yes, I do deserve this. And this also can sometimes tie into another type of reading that I do, is the past life reading, which came about after I learned doing the chakra readings. And in past life readings, sometimes we find that the chakras are closed by trauma that was caused in another lifetime. That you're not even, you look back on your life and that this can't possibly apply to me. I don't see anywhere in my life that would have been affected. And yet we check a bit further back, and it's a past life trauma that's been carried forth to be healed at this time. And those are lovely readings that I like to do as well, and I do offer some other different types of reading and angel blessings. But my favorite reading by far to do is the chakra clearing reading because of the things that I've pointed out. It affects every aspect of your life, and it can affect. And it can point to, oh yeah, now I see why that's not working for me. Now I see why I have a block for money coming in, because I'm afraid of what it means. I'm afraid of the meaning I'm afraid of the judgment, or I'm afraid of this. So these can be very powerful clearing to have.
So for our audience or listeners today, I know that they're here because they want to improve, they want to make change, just as you did and I have done in my life. For those of you who are new to listening today, I took a massive, I've had many, many big life changes in my life. I too was a single mum and had to make that big decision again at the end of the 1999, around that time. Last year, I actually made one of the biggest shifts in my life, and I relocated. I left the country and I moved all the way to India, and I haven't looked back. So are you so most people who are listening are wanting some level of change, some level of upgrade. What would you say to them, Jen, regarding ensuring their chakras are, healthy? Aside from coming to see you, have you got any tips or tools that they can maybe do at home, without having to leave their house?
Absolutely. One of the things that I recommend to all of my clients who wish to have, a healthy chakra system is the first thing is to notice where you might be carrying if you sit in meditation, or just sit quietly if you're not one that likes meditation. If you sit quietly and you just, place attention on the different chakra areas as we went through. Just notice any tension. Just notice where you're carrying any, just a feeling of being tight. You might feel it in your chest. Might feel just a little bit of tightness in your chest. Or you might feel a little bit of tightness just below your belly button. And what I suggest doing is it's so simple. It sounds so simple. But as you imagine that, if you put your hand on that area, and I say put your hand on it, not because it's necessary, but because it just helps you place your attention. If you place your hand on that chakra area, and you just imagine it being filled with beautiful white light. Just imagine that chakra just being filled with light. It's that simple. It's that simple to heal. That white light represents love, and it also represents light, which light, for those in the spiritual, community, understand that light can also mean knowledge. It can also mean understanding. And if we view it as, when we bring light to those chakras, that we're bringing understanding, that we're viewing ourselves with compassion and in non-judgment, that we see, okay, you know what, I might have experienced some tension and trauma in that area of my life, but it's okay. I don't have to carry that judgment any longer. And just giving ourselves permission is such a healing thing to each of our chakras, and just in looking at ourselves with understanding. And it's such a simple thing. And then when we finish, giving each particular chakra the attention that it needs and is looking for, really, then if we just imagine there's a tube going down our spine from the top of our head to our bottom, and if we're sitting in like a lotus position, and we just imagine, or even in a chair, you can do this in a chair, just imagine a tube of white light just going into our crown and all the way down our spine and out into the ground. Such a powerful meditation to, as we breathe, allow ourselves to be filled in that column of light. And this is, I was taught that this is you can also do pranic breathing with this exercise. And it's amazing what a small change can do to your experience. And it might not change the outer circumstances that you're in right now, but what it will change is your ability to see through the circumstances. It changes your ability to see with clarity how you want these circumstances to change and how you wish to approach every situation, like where you're approaching it from. Because when we're in fear is what closes down our chakra. So if we're if we're having difficulties in our intimate relationship and we're afraid of what's going to happen in our intimate relationships, then immediately to protect us, our sacral chakra shuts down. When we bring love to that sacral chakra and understanding that, okay, you know what, this situation is what it is. I might need to make some changes in order to upgrade my life to the level that I deserve. But I don't need to be afraid. I can move forward with love. I understand that my fear comes from this story in my mind that I'm going to lose. But I'm actually taking these steps in order to gain more love, more understanding, more compassion. And when we speak to ourselves in that way, our chakras open up and they allow for more love to come in. When we understand that yes, there might be fear there, but the fear is to protect us from what we perceive as loss, then we can turn it around. We can turn it around and say, no.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you've done, what I've done, and what I know that our listeners week on week are here to achieve. And I love how you've gone in depth there, Jen, because very often it is the invisible stuff that holds us back. It is we can analyze what is in our conscious mind until the cows come home. We can work on our beliefs. We can work on our limiting ideas. We can work on all of that. But sometimes it is just necessary to go deeper. And if you guys haven't yet listened to the previous podcast, you'll have to go back in the archives. All about awareness, and this ties really well into that, because I believe that awareness, so what Jen sort of kind of described and more of a broader scale as well, is one of your biggest power tools in your journey towards uplifting your life and shifting it from a place that you wake up in the morning and you don't really want to get started with your day to a place where you can't wait to wake up. In fact, you probably don't even want to sleep because you're so excited about your life.
Exactly.
And that is having the awareness of what is going on. And as Jen said, it doesn't mean that you can shift it today. It doesn't mean that you can change it next week, but gradually, moment by moment, decision by decision, action by action, you can. And this is why I provide this podcast. We're here on a weekly basis, right? And because I know that it doesn't happen overnight. So if you just commit, even just to showing up to these podcasts each week, 30 minutes a week to dedicate to uplifting your life and to allowing yourself to desire what you desire. And you talked about the throat chakra, Jen, being one of the key ones with regards to making change and shifting from a life that maybe you've just settled in or found yourself in by accident, which is something that I did. I ended up married at the age of 21. From the outside, my life was, let's say, spot on. The house, the cars, the businesses, then 2 children came along, the marriage, everything. But from the inside, it was completely off the mark. It was incongruent with who I really was. So when you are wanting to make that shift, as you said, the throat chakra is one of the key ones. So once you become aware of what it is you want, once you allow yourself to want what you want, it's one of my favorite phrases. Most of us are taught, we're conditioned that it's not cool to have desires, especially ones that are deemed frivolous or over the top by society or by the people that you live with. So that awareness, and that's a great exercise that you just talked us through. In fact, as you were walking us through it, I just went there. So it really is as easy as that. And I'll just add that, the first time you do it, guys, it may not come easily. You may feel completely strange and crazy and as if, nothing is really working. But repetition is key, as with everything. So make a commitment. Say for the next 7 days that, for 5 or 10 minutes each morning, you set an alarm, set a reminder on your smartphone, and commit to it and repeat it 7 times. And it'll only get easier and become more tangible and also easier for you to click in and connect. What would you say to that, Jen?
Absolutely. And one thought that I wanted to add is so often in our lives what stops us is that we say we want it. We say we want this better life. But then we start listening to, as you were saying, we start listening to the but. And we're not even aware of the fact that we're listening to the well buts. And it's not just that your dreams are proportionate. You're achieving your dreams is proportionate to your desire. It's far more than that. You achieve your dreams by taking those steps that are in alignment with what you say you want. If what you say you want isn't what you really, really want, then no amount of the exercises that you're doing is going to achieve what you don't really want.
Yeah. So this is why it's so, it's so important
to be honest. It's important
this is the key, guys.
If you're trying to get a big mansion and a Bentley on the south of France, but your heart is saying, I want to be a painter up in the mountains in a log cabin. That's what I really, really want. Then you're never going to get the mansion with the Bentley on the south of France because it's not in alignment with your heart. It's not in alignment with your truth. It's not in alignment with who you really are. And the thing is that if you are in alignment with who you really are, then if part of you does want the mansion and the Bentley and the south of France, then you achieve that by painting some beautiful painting up in a mountain. You achieve the secondary dreams by following your truth, by following your passion, by following what it is you really, 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 really want. And that is one of the great things that Maria is here to help you identify. What is it you really, really want? What upgrade in your life is going to open every single door that could eliminate all possibilities of you not getting every single thing that your heart desires. And that's what all the exercises are for. That's why it is important to have a really great coach in your life, to identify what it is you really want so that all the secondary stuff that you think you want comes along easily. You can eliminate the barriers.
Yeah. The passion that you have developed over the years. Now, your book is called Fumbling Through the Dark, and I just want to talk about that before we...
It's actually Fumbling Through the Light.
Through the light, sorry, yeah. So I want you to just give us. Well, first of all, I'll talk about how that ties in with what we've just touched on. That what you really want may change, right? Yeah. So as Jen said, initially you may think you want this mansion in the south of France with the Bentley, and that may be true. It may be your truth. on that day or for that month or for that 6 months or for that year even. But unless you get the ball rolling, right, and start shifting and start moving and start taking action and moving forward despite your fears, you will never get to the real truth of the log cabin on the mountain as a painter. So many times we'll just sit tight. I'll do that when I've won the lottery. I'll do that when there's so much money in the bank. I'll do that when there's blah, blah, blah. I'll do that when that's done or when that's achieved or when the kids leave home or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And this is something that I've really been able to embed over the last 10 years, is that what you think your life could look like with the desires that you have isn't necessarily we never actually get to the end result. We're always in motion. We're always changing and shifting. By our very nature, we are evolutionary beings. So what I'm saying is you have to get moving. You have to get started. And that has to happen today, right? If you look back at one of our previous podcasts, it's all about taking action, inspired action. So this is why it's really important to find that place of connection, whether it's in connecting with your chakras, whether it's in straight meditation. But when you're able to connect, you're then able to easily know what inspires you. You're able to be moved by something that's not in your mind and something that's in your heart, right? And then the journey starts to become part of the adventure, which is exactly what Jen, Andrew, and the children experienced. And it's all documented in this amazing book, and I'll get the title right this time, Fumbling Through the Light, where they literally listened to divine inspiration and went on an amazing journey. We're not going to go too much into it now because I really want you guys to go out and get the book, read it, because it will change your life. And actually at the moment, my almost 14-year-old son is making his way through the book, and he's shifting already. So I know that it will happen for you too. But Jen, just tell us, as we draw our conversation to an end in a little bit, tell us what your biggest takeaway was in all of that period of time for you guys. One that you can really share with our listeners today that maybe will help them today. Make a shift, make a change today.
I think the biggest thing was, and still is, because this is an ongoing journey for us as a family. When Andrew came into our lives, one of the first things we did was we sat down and we said, okay, if this is going to work, we've got to have something to work towards. We've got to have a goal that, as a four, that it defines our life. And I know from having come out of a failed relationship that one of the things that ends all relationships is a lack of a joint goal or a family goal. One of the reasons that many families kind of just disintegrate is because they're not going anywhere together. And this was a new concept to me, that I didn't have anything to lose. And that's the key. It's like, what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose in this moment by doing something radically different? The radical goal that we made was to become a joyful family. But we weren't going to settle for any just kind of Disney World joyful family. We wanted radical joy, transformative joy in our family. And that was going to mean that we were going to have to make some really incredible decisions along the way. Decisions that people, as in their conditioning, might have been like, ooh, I don't know if I could have done that. And you can't do those things. You can't make some of the choices that we made if you don't have something pulling you forward, if you don't have something so big in your life that you are not willing to let go of. And when when I think back and I look at the choices that I made, because I could not let go of my goal of the four of us becoming a joyful family. It is something that I said at the beginning, is when you let go of something that isn't taking you towards what you want, you create a space to welcome in something or someone that is going to take you to what you want. And even today, as I sit here in this conversation, you know, we're at a point in our family where we're like, okay, what's next? And but our hearts are all open. We see clearly, the vision that we hold for ourselves as a family is so clear. We've drawn pictures, we've painted, we've written about it. Who we are in our future selves is so clear to us that none of the details matter. None of the details matter because it's all being taken care of by the goal that we've set. And that's what I have to offer the listeners, is that when you hold that goal.
So find what it is and have a bigger vision. And this is beautiful advice. Connect with it. And if you go back in the archives, there's also a podcast that will walk you through exactly that process, guys, as well.
Oh, wonderful.
If you haven't. Yeah, if you haven't. So that's just such sound advice. Jen, just really quickly, because we are running out of time, where can our listeners find you if they want to connect with you, maybe have a reading or grab the book or just, hang out with you? Is there anywhere they can go to do that?
Absolutely. You can Google Fumbling Through the Light, and there is a blog there. As well as I've got a Facebook page, Fumbling Through the Light, where there's pictures of the family. You can read a little bit more about our history and fill in some of the blanks of our journey. As well as connect with me. I'd love to hear from any listeners. As well as the book, if you're interested, is available on Amazon. And any healings that I offer, the links are going to be on my healing Facebook page, which is called Unlocking the Divine Within. But I will also provide a link back to that page on the Fumbling Through the Light. So if you go for Fumbling Through the Light, you'll be able to see all the information there available to you on either Facebook, the blog, or again, the book is available on Amazon. Thank you so much, Maria, for having me.
Oh, goodness. It's been, and I know that you and I could talk for another same amount of time. I just want to say to our listeners, if you haven't already gone over to our Facebook page, which is UpGrade with Maria Kay, do so now. I really want to hear from you, and I want you to share the topics that you really desire to hear about. What do you need from us? Share it, and I will do my level best to bring that to you. I know that by being here again, that you made a commitment to yourself. And I know that's huge. Life gets busy, things get in the way, we make 101 excuses, sometimes because we are fearful. So I'm going to just give you a big virtual pat on the back, a big squeezy hug, a big well done, a big high five, because I understand that even just showing up to listen to this podcast can be a huge move, a huge step for you. So well done. Keep going. Every day is a new opportunity. And here's the challenge. Jump straight in today. Go and do something that you've wanted to do for a while that you've been putting off. I am leaving you with as much love as you can absorb